In this post-truth world where objective facts are less important than emotion and personal beliefs, all we get from the Palestinian advocacy movement in this country are lies, lies and more lies. The latest politically motivated stunt takes the form of a novel, stupid but novel, Palestinian-Australian discrimination complaint against the Australian government. What's their problem this time? Well, it seems that there is a legal action being launched against the Australian government for the comments made at the time of Operation Guardian of the Walls in May 2021. The government supported Israel's right to defend itself, which these local dumbos claim is hostile to Australian Palestinian human rights. You couldn't make this rubbish up. Well, actually they did. That's just the entree. For main course, they claim that the government's actions make the right of return more of a distant dream, their words, and cause trauma and stress to Australian Palestinians. But wait, there's more. They are also whinging that failure to acknowledge that Israel is an occupying power breaches international law. Boring. And misleads public discourse in Australia. This action is being led by Nasser Mashni, a Melbourne-based founder of Australians for Palestine, and is being conducted by Birchgrove Legal, which, despite its waspy-sounding name, is headed by Mustafa Kahir and Hamza Alamuddin. Need I go on? So what does this official complaint call for? There are four things. Firstly, it wants Australia to acknowledge that Israel is an occupying power that occupies Palestinian land. Really? For how long do we have to hear this idiotic lie? The Palestinians only invented their historic ancestry in 1967 when they realised that they couldn't defeat Israel militarily. Before that, they were just Arabs, but then switched to this diplomatic war of painting Israel as a colonising occupier. Then the action calls for the recognition that Israel has breached international law. Ho-hum. For decades, top international lawyers worldwide have all dismissed this ridiculous claim. These Australian Palestinians, whatever that means, also want the government to support the International Criminal Court investigating Israeli war crimes. Well, we've been down that road many times before, but anti-Semites of all stripes have no trouble finding something where there is nothing. And finally, this legal action wants the government to acknowledge that the human rights of Palestinian Australians are diminished by the denial of their return to their ancestral homeland. I mean, for how long do we have to put up with this nonsense? I don't care that they're wasting their money, and if it makes them feel better, then I say let them waste as much of it as they can. But this is a war of attrition, which is why we always have to challenge these campaigns of lies. The Palestinian advocacy movement knows full well that anti-Semitism in the guise of anti-Zionism is always lurking close to the surface of Australian society, and that these sorts of relentless campaigns keep chipping away at the uninformed masses to the point where the media and political elites think that if the Palestinians keep saying this stuff all the time, then it must be true. It's tedious, but this is Israel advocacy in the 21st century. I believe we will never defeat anti-Semitism, but we are required to continue fighting it. And fight it we will, because if Jewish history has taught us anything at all, it is that Jews are no longer going to roll over and disappear simply because the world needs a scapegoat for all its problems. And I will say that the AJA is always in a fighting mood, and we are very grateful for your support. But if you are not yet a member, or even on our mailing list, please visit the website or contact the office and join the thousands who are. Details will appear on your screen in just a moment. This is Alan Freedman, for the Australian Jewish Association.